The last kind of equations that we're going to attack are multi-step equations. Now, there are rules, they're in your book, for how you should look at multi-step equations and the order you should deal with things in. I don't think you necessarily need rules in a very rigid way to do it, although that helps some people. And if you want to memorize that and follow the rigid manner, that works fine. Keep in mind that really all we're going to be doing is simplifying both sides of the equation, and then we're going to be solving. So when you simplify, you're going to end up combining some like terms. You're going to end up doing the distributive property. And part of simplifying is also dealing with fractions. So don't panic, take your time, and take a few guesses. Try some things. They may not always work out, but you'll discover pretty quickly the right way to do them on your own, because you know how to use the distributive property, you know how to collect like terms, and I'm going to show you how to deal with fractions on the last example. All right. The first example I have up here is negative 4v plus 12 plus 6v equals 30. So when you look, you think isolate the variable. Well, the variable's in two spots, isn't it? So what do you do if the variable's in two spots? Well, you can combine like terms. They're on the same side, so that's legal. So negative 4v and 6v, that is 2v plus 12, and that will end up equaling 30. And what you'll notice is that after you do a bunch of simplifying, eventually it looks like the two-step equations that you already know how to solve. How do you get rid of plus 12, minus 12 to both sides, 2v equals 18. How do you get rid of the 2 in front of the variable? The opposite of multiplying is dividing. Divide both sides by 2, and v ends up equaling 9. So just take a look at it. You're just going to have to look at different situations and figure it out. Here, I've got a set of parentheses, don't I? How do we get rid of parentheses? With the distributive property. So I'm going to take that negative 4 and I'm going to multiply it through. Negative 4 times v, negative 4v. Negative 4 times 10, minus 40, plus 12, equals 30. I apologize for getting close to that other problem. So negative 4v minus 40 plus 12 is 30. Hey, you got some whole numbers you can combine. Negative 40 and 12, when you combine them, negative 4v minus 28 equals 30. Now it's a two-step equation. I'm going to add 28 to both sides. Negative 4v equals 58. Now I'm going to divide both sides by negative 4. When you take a look at that, 58 and negative 4 are in 4. When you divide them, it's not a nice number. Just leave it as a fraction. What can we divide out of the top and the bottom? We can divide a 2. So that's going to be 29 over 2. So it's going to be negative 29 over 2. V equals negative 29 over 2. Now I know some of you might have said negative 14 and a half. That works just as well. All right, the third example has the t's on both sides of the equation. You got 8t on one side and 6t on the other side. What do you do if the variable is on both sides? This is a little trick. Just remember, whatever you do to one side, you do to the other side. Now, a lot of people might look at this and say, let's divide by 6. If you divide by 6, 6 divided by 6 is 1. You don't get rid of the t. How do you completely eliminate something? You completely eliminate something with adding and subtracting. So if I take 6t away, 6t minus 6t is 0. It cancels it out completely. Whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other side. So minus 6t. That's going to leave me with 2t equals 20. 2t equals 20, divide both sides by 2, t is equal to 10. Okay? I'm going to take a moment and erase here. I want a little bit more space for that one. So now I have one which has got variables on both sides and the distributive property. You can't combine like terms until you get rid of the parentheses. So just as part of my simplifying, I'm going to distribute. So I get negative 2d minus 2 equals 30 plus 2d. Now I've got d's on both sides of the equation. Most students like to see the variable on the left. So I'm going to go on ahead and I'm going to eliminate this d, this 2d over here, just like I eliminated the 6t. And I'm going to go minus 2d. If I do it to one side, I have to do it to the other. Minus 2d. That gives me negative 4d minus 2 equals 30. Again, we're back to a two-step equation. Plus 2 plus 2, negative 4d equals 32. Divide both sides by negative 4, d equals negative 8. All right. I did tell you I was going to do one with fractions. Need to get a little space here. The next part for you guys is you can just pause and write down the problems, and then hit start. My students that are in class live, I have to wait for them, and that takes a little bit of time. Okay, 3/4 x minus 9 equals negative 2/3. Last one. All right, there's a little trick for this one. When you have fractions, I know a lot of you don't like fractions, just pretend for a moment that you have to add the 3/4 and the 2/3 together. What's the least common multiple? Because you'd have to get the bottoms to be the same for the least common denominator. And the least common denominator for 3 and 4 is 12. You're going to take both sides of the equation and multiply by 12. All right? We're following the rules. Whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. Now, this is pretty cool what happens here. There's 12 times 3/4 x. Since 12 is not a fraction, I'm going to put a 1 under it. I'm going to do my fraction arithmetic here. The 12 and the 4 cancel. The 4 becomes a 1, the 12 becomes a 3. 3 times 3x is 9x. Now I'm going to do 12 times negative 9. 12 times negative, I forgot to do my little rainbow thing. 12 times negative 9, that's negative 108. And then for the last one, I'm going to put a 1 underneath it. Well, let's just do it right here. Negative 2/3 times 12 over 1. The 3 and the 12 cancel. Becomes a 1 and becomes a 4. Negative 2 times 4, that is negative 8. Don't forget the equal sign because it's on the other side. All the fractions go away. When you multiply by the least common multiple, canceling should occur so the fractions go away. Now we just solve this two-step equation. Plus 108 plus 108. 9x equals 100 exactly. Divide by 9, divide by 9. X equals 100 over 9. Because 9 doesn't go into 100 nicely, and there's nothing we can cancel. There's nothing you can divide out of the top and the bottom. Take your time when you do these. Try some stuff, experiment. It looks easy sometimes when you see somebody else do it, but don't just give up after 5 seconds. Try different things, work it through, get the variable by itself, simplify. It'll work. Good luck.